I remember summer's evenings on a busy harbour quay, a sea of masts and funnel steams, my spirit running free. I hitched a ride on those herring trucks up to the fish yard gates. Strong-willed, strong-backed, great big hearts, that's how fishing people are weighed. Hello, I'm Bill Buchan. I'm here to just give you some of my background, far I've been, far I'm gone, and maybe a couple of wee stories in between. I was born 71 years ago new in Aberdeen, but I was brought up in Peterhead. My mum and my dad were fishing folk. My father was a curer in a fish yard just across the road for the house, and my mother, she was a gutting quine, and she worked in the gutting yards, which was just the other side of the house. So we were right in the middle of the fishing industry. I had three older brothers, much older brothers. They were all fishermen, so they were hardy souls that went and earned their living there. So my diet of fish was from a very young age, as you can imagine. Just an ordinary loon growing up, the bearings there, playing football, like my football out in the street. Tried not to get into trouble for the neighbours round about, but sometimes that was easier said than done. Played with my pal Roy, and just enjoyed life. After school, when my mother was working at the gutting yards, I used to, you'd no babysitters back then, so I used to go and wait for her to finish with playing in the fish yards, making companies with the fish boxes, all the things you could get your imagination into. You're amazing, you could hear a spaceship out the back of an old fish yard if you wanted. And that was me. My mother used to say, Billy, you've enough imagination. And I think she was spot on there. My imagination has been left to work its own why. But I mind back a bit. I was maybe a while 8, 9 or 10 that I got a guitar for my sonty a year. My mother bought me this guitar, and that was it. That was going to be the start of my path to fame and fortune as a musical star. And my pal Roy, he bid in the same building just a couple of doors down. He got a guitar and all, so we were going to be the new Beatles. That was us. And our band was called the Rosebuds, and out the back of the tenement we had the washing house at the back, for they had the big stone concrete boiler for they used to boil up all the clothes. So we commandeered one of them and we put the sign up outside the Rosebuds, and we would go down there with our guitars, and that's where we would practice. Now between the two of us we never can one note of music, and we just scalped these things and get it laldy and sung Beatles songs at the top of our voice. But we enjoyed it, that's for sure. Good laugh. And I mind, round about that time, I wrote my first song. I thought, I've got a song, I'm going to write it, this will be great. And not long after that, I think it was the Everly Brothers, they took out a song with exactly the same name. And I couldn't understand why their song was a hit and mine wasn't. But that was the start of me kind of putting down ideas to do things, to play music or to capture my thoughts, if you like. It wasn't until I was about 20 and I broke my leg playing football. And I was stuck in a house with a great big stook in the end of my leg, and my girlfriend at the time, was now my wife for 50 years, I said to her, go down to Woolies and buy me a guitar. So she went down and got a guitar for Woolies, took it to him, and I said, right, I'm going to learn to play this thing. So, because I couldn't get out the house, because I was stuck with my leg up in the air, I learned a few chords, and I always liked singing, so John Denver stuff was one of my great favourites early on. So that was me starting to get into the guitar and the playing. And for many, many years after that, I only ever played the guitar and sung in my own house. I never sung, I never thought I was good enough to do it. And you have that kind of, it's no stage fright because I was nowhere near a stage, but yeah, you think, oh, I'll never do it right and folk will laugh. But enjoy the playing all the same. And that was how it was. And that was it. I wrote quite a lot for a while. I'm sad to say I didn't write so much now, but I had the music going, and again, his contacts there. I was put in touch with a fellow called Gavin Sutherland, who was a very well-known pop star back in the 70s, Sutherland Brothers, but he had become an artist in residence again at Aberdeenshire, and Aberdeenshire Council had just opened up this new recording studio in the grounds at Arden Park. So this was new facilities and full-scale studio, mixing desks, recording equipment, all that. So I got to meet Gavin, and he was a great lad. I used to love all his stories about the pop life, some of the things he would tell you. And quiet, unassuming, again, a good sense of humour. And I worked with him to get out a CD of my songs. I think it was 10 songs, Fae Croft to Creel. And that was one of the first CDs that was recorded at Arden Park. So that was great. That gave me a chance to again get my music out. Some of the radio stations like Robbie Shepherd's shows and that, they played some of the songs, and back Waves Radio, and they had the Scottish hours, and so the music did get out there. And again, a few folk for wider afield heard it. Some of the tracks they picked up on. There's a fella I got to ken for Dublin. He had his ancestors were for the northeast, and he picked up on one song I did and asked if it would be okay for him to sing it, which of course it is. You can't stop folk singing or using your material. And he sung it over there, and used to go to traditional singing, which is very, I think, distinct for like folk singing is most folk thing that you can. And he sent me back a recording of him singing a song. And if I didn't ken it was my song, I would have just thought that song had been a bit hunnery at all, the way he sung it in such a traditional method. And I just thought, oh, that's great, it's folks taking the time to play it, to sing your songs. And I tried my hand singing it up, and same with the poems, all sorts of stuff, and just things that I kent a bit, and if I didn't ken about it, then I'd just mark it up, fair enough. But there's another song I wrote which was on that album, and it was written in the form of a bothy ballad, or I tried to do the bothy ballad. It was a bit tongue-in-cheek as well, a wee bit cheeky. And that was a song that a pal of mine started singing, and he's a deeper, more powerful voice than I have, and to be quite honest, he fitted that song much, much better than I did. And he used to get into the bothy ballad competitions, and there's certain competitions every year in Scotland that the winners of the bothy ballad competition qualify for the Champion of Champions up in Elgin in the February. So he won singing my song, which was the Bonnie Braes of Canady, and they went into the Champion of Champions for you have to sing your winning entry for the competition you qualify. And there was a wee bit of to do because, of course, my song, although it sounded traditional, was relatively contemporary. It was quite new, and I suppose very unusually, the writer of that bothy ballad was actually still living himself. But anyway, they let him go, and he won a Champion of Champions with my song. So again, I've heard a few people sing it, and it's off it warms your heart that you're doing something that somebody likes. But that was it. Back in those days that I was offshore, and that was offshore for about 16 years, so we covered a lot of ground. And my music started taking a bigger part of my life. And again, I wrote a few songs, which just different things about different kind of subjects, if you like. And they were not in Doric, the songs, there was songs in English. And for a while I had a short period, I'd worked out in Saudi Arabia, and when you're out there, that's a very strict regime. There's only some places you can go and things that you're allowed to do. But the thing that struck me was that it's not the same as when you're going to watch somewhere on holiday, that when you're out there, that you are the foreigner and these are the locals, and the way that they look at you is with suspicion, and at the time the Broch had been starting to get a lot of the people for the different parts of Europe had come in and worked in the fish industry and things like that. So there was a lot of foreigners in the Broch, and I just seen people looking at them the same way that we'd been looked at in Saudi, and I thought, well, again, I give it like we are in Saudi, that honest, ordinary folk, but there's people out here probably same, ordinary, honest folk, but they're being viewed with suspicion. And I wrote a song called The Immigrant, which basically explored in three or four verses that sort of why do you look at us differently. And I played that song in a folk club one night, and there's a guy there from Poland who was working out here as an interpreter, and a really nice guy called Bartek, and he came up to me, he said, I love that song, can I get the words? So I gave him a copy of the words, fine, and the next night at the folk club, Bartek was there, and he sung the song back to me in Polish, and I thought, wow, that's my song. I couldn't understand a word he said, but I recognised the tune. And when he went back to Poland, he still keeps in contact, and he sings it regularly out there, and that's gone back a few years ago. But quite recently, they've started doing music sessions in Strichen again, and they put up videos on Facebook, and I was looking at the videos, and lo and behold, here was Bartek. He'd been out here on a visit, and the song he was singing was my song, The Immigrant. And I thought, well, that's alright, must be okay, that song now. So that's that was some of the highlights of the songs I've sung. I like to do funny-ish kind of songs, tongue-in-cheek, so not too serious. And I'll give you one little story just before we move on for that bit. But I was sitting, this was at Darvis, in a folk club at Darvis quite a few years ago, and I had written a song called The Buchan Parks, and the song was just about the time that a lot of the young folk was leaving the firming for the fishing and the oil industry. There was no money in the firming, the money was all offshore. So that young folk was leaving the firms, all our farmers had a quandary then what they would do with the firm, because the youngins was in a second. But at the same time, property was just, the prices was just going through the roof down south. Folk was selling houses, flats, for hundreds of thousands of pounds down the south of England, and they were coming up here and snapping up hill parcels of land and firms, and they weren't the farmers, they didn't care what they were going to do with. So the ground was kind of, I felt, was just going to be wasted. The beautiful, rich land that we have up here was being wasted. So I wrote a song on that kind of theme, called The Buchan Parks, and it's a slow song, a reflective song, and I was singing it at the folk club, and just behind me I could hear this woman sitting behind me speaking to her son, as it turned out, but I heard her saying, oh, it's just what it was like, that's what happened there, that it was a terrible, sad story, kind of farms were just being given away or gone to great big companies for the small farmers, the real people were no longer there. And she went on about it for ages, and I'm singing the song at the same time and she's going on. And at the end I got a big round of applause, which is I was welcome, and I was quite smug with myself, and I felt a tap in the shoulder, thinking, oh, this wifey's got to tell me this is the best song she's ever heard. So I turned down and I said, she says, that was a good song, can you play 10 guitars? So there you go. I learned there, didn't take yourself too seriously, because you not give it other folks thinking. But I've enjoyed my music, I still do enjoy my music. I've retired now, retired 5 years ago, converted a bedroom in my house into fit we gloriously call the music room. And my wife said telling me there's too much stuff in it and to get out of it, but that's where I keep my guitars and my computer, and I still record stuff there and put it on YouTube, on Facebook. I do that things, and I still continue with that. I'll start with it. I remember summer's evenings on a busy harbour quay, a sea of masts and funnel steams, my spirit running free. I hitched a ride on those herring trucks up to the fish yard gates. Strong-willed, strong-backed, great big hearts, that's how fishing people are weighed. Like every port in every land, there were days of grief and tears. The woman weighed along the quay for the boats to reappear. With heads held high and dignity, they turned from that cold, cold quay. Strong-willed, strong backs, broken hearts, they bear the fisherman's misery. And they only dreamed in tired sleep, the sleep of honest toil. And they only dared to dream a dream the waking couldn't spoil. My escape was in the books my father made me read. His cooper's hands were calloused guides that gave me what I'd need. Not for me the fishing net, but I still turned to that sea. Strong-willed, strong-backed, great big hearts are the oilmen that I lead. And they only dream in tired sleep, the sleep of honest toil. And they only dare to dream a dream that waking couldn't spoil. It's the longest ending of a song in the history of the world, I think.